A home invasion on Saturday evening has left one man dead and a family traumatized. Alwayne Charrington was an optician at Belize Council for Visually Impaired (BCVI) with his mother-in-law's home around 7 p.m. when a gunman came up the steps and fired shots at him. Charrington was shot in the head. Officer in command at the Crimes Investigative Branch for the Precinct 1 and 2, Alejandro Cobo, gave us more details.
CIB personnel from Precinct 2 visited the Carl Houston Memorial Hospital where they observed a male person by the name of Alwyn Charrington, 21 years, a Belizean optician of 8155 Guile Street, Belize City. He was suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to the body. What has police gathered so far is that on Saturday, sometime after 7, he was visiting a family member at 202 Lopez Street behind Complex. And while seated speaking to the family members, he went to look for his wife as his wife resided at that location. A male person, or a person just pushed his son through the door and fired several shots at him, causing a fatal injuries. Up to now, we have 3 persons in custody that we are questioning that maybe they can provide some information to us in regards to this latest murder that we have in our area. Up to now, we cannot establish a motive. This person is not known to be of any gang at this time, or gang affiliated, or of any other troublesome person.
The wife of the victim, Chantel Charrington, and her daughter sat beside Alwyn when he was murdered. She gave us a recollection of what happened that night.
Around 7 o'clock. My husband was sitting right here where I'm sitting. I was sitting right where you are. My daughter was in between us. My 3-year-old daughter was in between us, and it happened so fast I couldn't even. I was still in denial that, this is not happening. When I heard the shots, I thought it was pop shots. I was like, in my mind, I was like, who is so brazen to come and just throw, dynamite in my house? That I had in my mind, didn't know it was, gunshots. So all I could think of was my daughter, because she was in between the two of us, and I still didn't realize. My mom told me I was moving in slow motion. I was walking towards the room, and in my mind, I'm feeling for my husband. I had my hand behind me, and I was like, just wanting him to hold my hand, trying to grab him. That's when I realized I saw everyone scattering in the house, and I still was, still had that dynamite, because it really sounded like dynamite. I didn't know it was gunshot until I reached that door, and reality hit me, and I looked back and I saw my husband drenched in his blood, just bleeding from his mouth. That's when I realized he got shot, didn't know where.
Charrington says her husband was still alive when they took him to the hospital, but half an hour later he was pronounced dead by doctors.
I was trying to, wake him up, tell him, stay with me. And then, I don't know where the trooper came from, I think it was a GSU car. And he and me was taking up my husband. I was backing him down the stairs and into the trooper's back, and he was still bleeding, and I was sitting there with him, having him on my lap, and I was trying to, let him stay with me while the officer had him in his shirt, because he's heavy, so we was trying. Well, the car was moving fast, so we were trying to not make him fall out of it, and he was just moaning and just bleeding. When we got to the hospital, I ran in and I was yelling, somebody come help me. and they took him away on in the bed, and I think it was like half an hour after, or I think it was half an hour after, and the doctor came out and said they wanted to speak to me, but I come in the room, and they told me he didn't make it.
Police have 3 men in custody for the murder. 2 lots away, police found a bike which they believe was the mode of transportation for the crime.